Okay, I think the video is working. I'm creating a short video here to talk about my discovery today. I'm a targeted individual and have been one since 1999, 2000. My entire house has been infiltrated with technology. I now suffer from moderate tinnitus, and it started last year. Over a couple of years, infiltrated my electrical system, replaced my wiring, which I had Romax wiring, because this is an old house that was built back in 1982, 81, 82. So Romax wiring was used then, but I have a different type of wiring that I did not install. Fast forward, had been infiltrated because a house only has 3 systems that can be infiltrated, and that's the plumbing, the electrical system, and the HVAC, which is, the heating and air conditioning system. Um, and that's all there is to a house, with the exception of the structure itself. But those 3 things can provide an energy source, So I have found out about the electrical rewiring, so we know that that's been infiltrated. The plumbing, I know the plumbing had been infiltrated, but the thing is to find out where the remote neural monitoring and the tinnitus was coming from. So today, when they turned on their equipment, it obviously was broken because a loud electrical sound, which was not sound that would normally be coming from a heating system or any other kind of system that I have in the house, emanated from the attic. So I went up, I started towards the attic. Now, the house has a lot of cameras. Their cameras. I'm not talking about mine. So as I proceeded to open up the attic door, the sound stopped. They cut it off. It's done remotely. Everything they do is done remotely. But my business is about finding out how it's done remotely. So I walk away for a minute because I know they're going to turn it back on because they're aware that I'm aware, and they need to know what's going on in the house. So they have to turn on their equipment, and they did. I made it upstairs fast enough to determine that it was coming from the HVAC system. The plenum. If you know anything about a plenum, the plenum has a solid surface. There are never holes in the plenum by which there are screws that are attaching to something underneath the upper side of the plenum, because that will violate the integrity of a plenum. Because it's supposed to be sealed. Plenums are because of the balance of air pressure that's supposed to be going in and out of plenum. So a plenum is totally sealed. The criminal government has gone in and put screws on top of the surface of the plenum. A really dumb thing, because you're not going to find that. Anybody will look at that and say, what are all these screws about? They put the screws in on the top that is obviously holding something in place underneath the top. That would be like here's an example. Okay, my plenum should look like this piece of paper. No scarring, no holes, no anything in it. Okay? My ring here Okay, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but I bought this ring because I like silver, and um but it doesn't have the Christian, it has nothing to do with religion. It just has nothing to do with religion, period. Okay, period. Let me put that out there. Um Look at the cross. Go, it's this is something different. I just had to mention that, but anyway, because it's there. Um it started off, let's put it this way. It started off as, when I bought it, uh me admiring the symbol of the cross. But since I found out so much more about it, believe me, this is not related to religion. Okay, now the plenum will look like this: a solid aluminum piece of metal. Okay, my plenum is on my attic floor because I have a long plenum. I have one of those long plenums. My plenum isn't vertical. It's my system is horizontal. So, but in this plenum, I have, let me see if I have this is what I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, just, I have screws all throughout the plenum. So my plenum is sitting on the attic floor with screws all over the top. And underneath the plenum, they've attached their equipment. Okay? Because they've screwed it in the plenum. But, okay, over here, let me use something else. Over here is the furnace. The furnace is over here. And the furnace is over here. And so the supply plenum is this. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the supply. Wait a minute. Is it the supply return? It's the return plenum. It's the return. It's the return air plenum. And the supply plenum is on the other side where the all of the ductwork comes out. So this is the return plenum. Okay, and in that return plenum are these holes. And underneath that this is aluminum, pretend this is aluminum, and underneath this aluminum sheet, which shouldn't have any holes in it. Remember, the aluminum sheet should look like this. Okay, you will not find a plenum with holes in it. Now, next to the plenum, like in this corner right back here, is the vent flue that is going up into the attic. I mean, not into the attic, into the roof. So when this noise was popping off, and I could tell that it was where it was coming from, the plenum and the vent flue screaming. It's screaming some weird electrical, mechanical noise. So then I go and inspect it as well. Okay, because it's next to it. And it goes up into the roof, on top of the roof, and it's open air because it's to let all the hot air that comes through there out, that comes through the plenum, if it needs, and whatever else that needs to come out. But it's a venting system. Okay. Now, I'm put the plenum piece down, and let's look at the um, the vent flue. The vent flue will be in several different pieces because it's a long metallic tube, but it will not and should not have the same type of screws in it that are in the plenum. Neither one are supposed to have screws. That is not how a vent flue is held together. Vent flue is pretty much held together like this pin here. You have one piece that goes over and interlocks. Just like you don't see screws holding this piece and this piece together, you will not see screws holding a vent flue together. That's not how they come. My vent flue is screwed together because they took it apart and they needed to secure it after taking it apart. So they screwed back. They screwed the two pieces back together to make sure that it would not dislodge. Note and remember that I'm telling you, this vent flue is making a loud noise up in this area. Okay, the plenum is here. The loud noise was up in this area right before hitting the entryway out into the roofing. Okay, now also that the let me go here. So I inspect because I got two things going on here. I got holes in the plenum. I got holes in the vent flue. Both do not. And I got both the plenum making noise and the vent flue making noise. Okay. And then I touched the plenum. It's hot as I don't know what. This plenum is hot. Very, very hot. It should not be hot. This plenum should not be hot. As a matter of fact, and I tell you why, I go up into my attic a lot. I even myself with my own two hands replaced with no help. I'm that kind of a woman. I don't mind doing what I got to do. Replaced my own duct work for every room on the second floor myself after I called a contractor who gave me an absolutely crazy estimate. Okay, and I was like, no, this is too easy. I will figure it out and I will do it myself, which I did. Okay, so I know my duct work, I know my plenum, I know my HVAC, I know my wiring. Because I'm constantly dealing with that stuff, and I don't mind learning about anything. I don't have a fear of learning about anything. But I know what's going on with my junk. I also had my plenum sealed. When was it? In 2000 and it's a long time ago. 10, 11, 12, about 2012. I had the plenums resealed because I felt that the integrity was not there. Probably because at the time I didn't realize that the criminal government was messing with it. So I paid a company, and I paid a lot of money. Got ripped off, of course, but I paid the company in because I didn't know anything at that time about HVAC. And I had them to come in and reseal the plenum to ensure that the complete integrity of the plenum was intact, which means there were no holes. And they put goo all around the edges, mastic or whatever you want to call it. Okay, all around the edges. Okay, now back to today. So I'm in looking at the flue, the plenum. The plenum is hot. And this noise coming from the area where the plenum is hot. And it's right where the plenum and the flue black, I mean, vent, I'm sorry, is connecting in this video. Right there, right there is where the noise was coming from. What is happening is that it's real simple. They've ran, you got an AP, which is an access point. They got the flue acting like they turned the flue into like a GPS antenna access point. The flue extends, this is the roof. The flue extends out of the roof. So it's in the open air. The remote frequency can hit the flue, is directed to the flue because it's an access point. Sends the frequency down through what they put in the ventilation, in the flue, the vent flue, to the HVAC. This is the plenum, and underneath the plenum, where these holes are, is their equipment. Now remember, the furnace is over here. The furnace is over here. So the furnace is not in the way whatsoever. It's a minute away from the furnace. We're talking about an empty supply plenum. There shouldn't be nothing encased in there. It should be completely empty. But it's not empty. It has their equipment in there. Okay. Let me mention this because this is really important. That since that piece of equipment, device, surveillance, torture device broke today, I'm not suffering from tinnitus. They've tried to turn it on several times. They've quit now. What time is it? It's 5 o'clock in the evening. But several times all throughout the morning and afternoon, they have tried to turn that thing on. And each time they've tried to turn it on, it wouldn't engage. That noise would come on real loudly, but the tinnitus wouldn't initiate moderately. Just very, very little, which tells me that there are several things going on at one time. You have this equipment inside the plenum that is creating the tinnitus. Okay. We know how the frequency is getting into the house through the ventilation systems that are on top. They've also done my chimney the same way. My chimney hood has been replaced. My chimney hood has been replaced. Same thing. Okay? They're using my chimney as an access point. The wall, and it's this wall right here. You see that picture? On the other side of that wall is my chimney. At times, they will hit the access point at the top of the chimney because they changed the chimney hood to something else. It's not the original chimney hood. And that entire picture would just, it would shake and make noise. It would rattle. That entire picture would rattle. That whole wall would rattle, which would make that picture rattle. And because the picture has metal hooks, it's a very heavy picture. It looks light, but that's a very heavy picture. The glass and the frame is metal, and the all the stuff that's holding it together is metal. What holds the frame together is metal. It's not a cheap framed picture. Okay? And so it's heavy. So it's put together really well. And it rattles whenever the AP. And let me tell you what I found out. The frequency that comes from the chimney right on this bed right here, right there, is not there. I removed it, but I had a computer there. The computer, I found out the computer had a camera in it. Believe me, the camera to the computer was not where we normally would expect the camera to be on top of the screen. It was actually on the side of the computer, the side that faced me. In one of the holes, it was planted in one of those holes that's on the side. And so when they wanted to see what I was doing, they send the frequency through the chimney, which would then turn on the camera that was on the side of the computer to monitor me. That frequency also would rattle that once it started to hit the camera, there's APs that they planted in that bedside table. Those strong, the APs in the bedside table, and the frequency was so strong that it would make the bedside table rattle, because I have a metal-based lamp on the table. And I have pictures, I have a video of that table rattling. So I moved the camera when I finally figured out, and that's what I do. I pay attention to everything that's going on in an environment so I can figure out what they're doing. So I removed the camera. The wall stopped rattling. At least for a little while. And then one day, I had to leave the house empty for many hours, come back, the wall started rattling again, because they were able to come in and do what they wanted to do because they had access with no one here. So which means they planted a new camera. And what I have found about the new camera, I haven't found the new camera, except for let's do this. Let's see if I can turn over here. That dresser now rattles. When they turn on the frequency, that dresser now rattles. Not so much back here, but occasionally back here it rattles, but mostly over there. And there's so much they've done to this room, because that's just a little bit of it. But let me get back to, oh my goodness, it's so much. Let me get back to what I'm telling you about the attic space. Now, what I have to do is also what I found were relays. Couple of relays have been placed. The relays you would normally not be okay. Let me go back. The HVAC system is electrical. You know that. Everybody know. You got to turn on the equipment through, even if it's gas, and it's gas, but the AC isn't gas. Okay, and the whole system isn't gas. Some of it is electrical. The gas pumps in. Because it is an electrical system, it has to have an electrical on and off switch. The on and off switch is on one of the rafters. I have two systems, so I have two on and off switches. They have placed on the on and off switch that goes to this HVAC system, this particular HVAC system. They've placed two relay switches there. An HVAC system is not going to have the relay switches sitting. That would be like this. Okay, let me see if I can turn this around. Oh, I'll see if I can get over there. I can't. I'm really trying really hard to see that. Okay, you see that light switch? That light switch belongs to the ceiling light that has a fan. Okay. Now the builder will not, you see that light switch? You will not see a couple, like you don't see a couple of relay switches hanging from that light switch. If the builder were to put relay switches for this electrical circuit anywhere, it's going to be hidden in the ceiling or somewhere along the circuit line. But you're not going to put two electrical relays that's just going to hang like two big, humongous batteries hanging from that electrical switch. You're not going to find that. Well, that's what's up in the attic. They've placed two relays on coming from, one's coming from the HVAC system, another is coming from their other planted device that's over the attic space in the garage. I got to go check that out. And I've seen the wiring because I've gone into the crawl space that leads back and forth from the garage to see where that wiring is running. One day, when I was in the garage, the stupid idiots tried to radiate me. They so stupid. Everything they do teaches me more and more and more. They literally tried to radiate me while I was in the garage. Well, they actually did. Ain't no try. They actually did. I could literally feel like I was in a microwave oven. I was in the garage for a while. And I think I had pissed them off about something that I discovered or maybe something that I tweeted. And then all of a sudden, I got this big wave of microwave energy. It felt like microwave energy. I got lightheaded. I started to get a little nauseated. And I just said, listen, because I know them. Listen, idiots. Thank you. I have to thank them for everything that they do because all it does is inform me more. Thank you for letting me know where your equipment is. I'm sitting here in the garage. Duh, it's up above the garage space. It's their ego. Each time they try to hurt me, all they do is inform me more about where the junk is. Because our house is only so big. I'm not living in, what do you call it? A humongous mansion. This is a freaking house. It's a speck to inspect. They are stupid. Just totally stupid. So I'm going, because, I know that they had infiltrated the garage door. They had infiltrated the garage door opener in order to do a lot of that stuff. They had infiltrated the house alarm that's built into the house and the garage door alarm system, which goes into the attic space. So I know that they've already been into the attic space, right? And then they, like idiots, radiate me. And then while I'm in the garage, like complete freaking idiots, to just say, here I am. I'm right up here. I'm up here. This is where we got our goodies. They stupid. And so I went to the crawl space to see that the wire that is coming from that relay that I was telling you about that's upstairs in the attic, they got it running from the attic down into the crawl space towards the attic space over the garage. Okay. These are some idiots that I deal with. To think that they are so technically inclined to be covert when all they do is leave massive piles of evidence everywhere. Massive piles through their vandalism. Through their vandalism. Okay, there was something else that I wanted to say about this, and I'm forgetting. Okay, I told you the top was real. Oh, while I was up there, which was excellent. It's a little cool outside, so we got the heat on, right? Luckily, while I was up there, the heater came on. And it came on so I could hear the noise, where the noise from the heater comes on, and to determine or to isolate or discern more about the noise coming from this area. Remember, the heater is over here. So the heater came on while I was up there, and I was grateful for it because I wanted to know, well, is something going on with the heater? No, the heater's fine. It's not the heater. Heater popped on like it's supposed to. The noise from the heater was the normal sound of the heater coming on. This over here is something totally different. Totally different. Completely. So, this is what I'm dealing with. More evidence. And guess what? This evidence cannot be extracted. The holes are there. It can't be extracted. The fluke is there. All this is there. Not unless they give me a brand new plenum. And I don't think they're going to be doing that. And then I looked at the plenum. I looked at the flue on the second system that runs the upstairs. And that flue looks relatively new. It doesn't, and I don't know, like, I haven't put a new flue on. I haven't changed the chimney hood. I haven't done any of this stuff. But I got all this new stuff. And then I found, let's see, I found a connector. Wait a minute, where is it? Let's see, do I have one in here to show you what I found? Yeah, these. A connector. You see this? Littered on the floor in front of the, around where the, they put this crap. Nobody's been authorized to be in my attic to be creating any new connections, but this crap is on the floor. So I just want to put this video out to prove that the remote neuromonitoring, the tinnitus, and all of that is not coming from. The only part of a satellite that crap is coming from would be the frequency that has to connect. But guess what? They're not connecting by that way. They're using drones and these local neighbors that have moved around here since I've moved in. They're connecting that crap from their homes. They're sending the frequencies from their homes, or they can have a flyover drone, because drones do fly over a lot. And when they do, of course, I realize the results of it. The wall will start acting a fool. The computer will start acting a fool. The system upstairs that they got will turn on. That system has a different sound than the heating system. So when that system upstairs turns on, I can hear it and I can tell, oh, that's not the heat. That's not the furnace. That's something else turning on. But at least today, I know where the crap is. I have the evidence. So I'm making this video just to put this evidence out there. TIs, your torture, a lot of your torture is coming from the stuff that they've already put in your house. Nah, they not. There's nothing invisible coming in from you. For me, I ain't gonna say that. Let me back it up, because everybody got their own experiences and everybody's targeted differently. But for me, it's not coming from the outside. They put everything on the inside. What was coming from the outside, I stopped that crap because I went over to that man's house and told him, you better stop sending these dudes over to my house. And I also told him about the refraction factor of 50% of that crap is coming right back to you, but they didn't tell you that. Because, you know what? You're collateral damage. They don't care about what happens to you. Guess what? After I told him that, he stopped throwing dudes over here. Oh, yes. I told two neighbors, I approached two neighbors, the one behind me and the one on the other side of me. Because I used equipment to determine where the dudes were coming from. And I called the police about it. Who told me, sure, you can approach them. Just if they tell you to get off their property, leave immediately so you do not get charged with trespassing. But I never entered the property. I called them off their property because they didn't know what I wanted as a neighbor. So I said, could you come here? I need to talk to you. I made sure they came off of their property and onto public street property. And I said what I had to say. So I could not be charged with trespassing. And since then, I've not had any problems with dudes coming my way. Instead, what they did was infiltrated my house so that they don't have to send dudes, because they don't want to deal with it now that they know about the refraction factor. But all the stuff that's coming in is coming from inside my house. And that's what I know. And what I'm doing is figuring out how they've done it. My electrical wiring has been replaced. They busted a pipe. They're responsible for one of my pipes bursting. And so I had to replumb. But I'm suspecting with the replumb, that may not have been on a total up and up too. So I'm thinking that something else is coming out of the replumb. I will find all of this out. Okay, this is a long video. I didn't mean to make it that long. But this is some great evidence that I found. Tinnitus, no. It is so little. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it barely a 1 now. Prior to that equipment break-in, I would give it a 5. So, and when they really wanted to piss me off, they brought it up to a 7. And now it's barely a 1. That equipment is in two parts. That's what I was saying. I wanted to get back to that two part. You got the crap that I found today that is responsible for tinnitus, for the tinnitus. I don't know what else it may be responsible for. And but I still can feel some of the frequency hitting my head. It's not as bad, and hitting my sinuses, because it dries out my sinuses. But hitting my head, it's not as bad. So it's not completely gone. Everything that they have is not completely gone, but I know where it's at. And I don't know where everything is at, but I know where the majority. But remember, a house is a speck. A house is tiny. I'm not living in the Queen's mansion. This is a house. And they so stupid to not realize this is a house. All that stuff can be found out. Because it's a speck in the in the whole reality of how big it is. Not just how big it is, but in terms of where you can hide stuff. But anyway, this is just the HVAC, because I got other areas that I need to talk about where stuff is hidden. Let me close this video. But I just want to post it, and just to say, I'm dealing with some plum idiots. Plum idiots. Complete idiots. Keep collecting your evidence, TIs. Because this stuff can't be explained away. This cannot be explained away. And I'm a very animated, I'm a little different. I'm a very animated person. And so, I don't talk calmly and all sweet and, like a professional speaker. That's not me. And that's okay. We're all different. Anyway, let me close this. And thank you for listening.